EMG is looking to catch lightning in a bottle twice. The Nemo was a hit from the brand and one of the best affordable dive watches available when it came out. The logical next step after a successful dive watch is a GMT. Can their new watch make lightning strike twice? Let's find out as we take a look at the EMG Odyssey. A solid GMT can be a tricky proposition for a micro brand. Everything from the case dimensions, dial layout, and the movement used have to be the best versions of themselves, otherwise the watch can fall flat. While you can argue this is true of any watch, GMTs often amplify these things. The extra hand on the dial, thickness of the movement, and layout of the GMT bezel create a lot of room for error. When it comes to wearability, EMG nailed it with the Odyssey. Coming in at 40.5mm wide, 48mm lug-to-lug, and a wrist crystal measurement of only 11mm, the Odyssey brings solid tool watch proportions into a relatively compact package. The Odyssey features lugs that turn down sharply that allow the watch to hug the wrist, which brings down the perceived lug-to-lug by a millimeter or two. The heavy polished chamfers on the outside of the lugs also thin the mount, giving the case a slimmer look. I found that it wore about as perfect as you can get for a 40mm watch on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. The shape of the lugs and position of the dual crowns keep it comfortable all day. The Odyssey is using the Sellita SW330, one of the best GMT movements available that doesn't cost a fortune. The GMT hand moves independently of the hour hand and minute hand, so while it is not a true GMT, it is perfectly usable for any traveler. The internal rotating bezel is also extremely easy to use while on the wrist and features small dive time markings, allowing you to use the bezel to time things as well. The bracelet has a 20mm to 16mm taper with a secure fold-over clasp. The fully articulating links are nice to see here as well, as they allow the bracelet to effortlessly drape around the wrist. If I could change one thing about the bracelet, I would use a slimmer double push-button clasp, as I don't think the fold-over is necessary for this type of watch, but I am nitpicking a little here. The dial layout is simple and elegant. There isn't a bunch of text on the dial, and there is plenty of lume on the main part of the dial to allow the Odyssey to remain readable at night. I would have liked to see some lume on the bezel to give it some more functionality at night, but that can be tricky sometimes with internal bezels. That said, I do like the separator used on the hour hand to keep it easily identifiable. It's a small touch, but it does make a difference in legibility. My only real complaint about the Odyssey is the heavily domed sapphire crystal used. It is extremely reflective, and while it keeps the dial legible at extreme angles, viewing it straight on made it hard to read. EMG has told me they will be adding more AR coating to reduce this effect. GMTs tend to be watches that benefit from careful attention to color coordination. Accent colors usually serve a functional purpose on GMTs, and the Odyssey is a prime example of this. The GMT hand coordinates with the inner GMT bezel and allows that hand to be easily identifiable. The entire color scheme of the dial layout is executed well. The dark blue dial plays perfectly with the white and gray colors on the rest of the dial and bezel. There is more that measures a watch than the sum of its parts, but EMG has done a great job in making that sum attractive. EMG has been around a long time, and I don't believe they have the following they deserve. Their watches have always been attractive at the price points they offer them at, and the Odyssey is no exception. It is hard to gauge whether a watch will be an immediate sellout or not. I don't know if the Odyssey will, but I do know one thing. It should be. Thanks for checking out the video review. For the full written review, head over to watchclicker.com. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe.